Today, we are talking about myths that surround infidelity. Infidelity is one of the most polarizing, life-changing events someone can go through. And if you are walking through the aftermath of either your partner's infidelity or your own, I'm sure it has been, in many ways, lonely, frustrating, disillusioning, scary, and in many ways, just plain overwhelming. Then you probably encounter maybe well-meaning people, maybe bitter or angry people that say, well, if my spouse or my partner did this, I would do this. And everybody loves to say what they will do when infidelity happens until it actually happens. And at that point, when it does happen, you typically have years or decades together. You may or may not have children and assets and time spent with them. It's not as easy as the armchair quarterbacks or the keyboard warriors like to say. As one professional boxer said, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, and infidelity is not just a punch in the mouth, it is a punch in life that absolutely knocks you down, and getting back up is a process. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the myths that surround infidelity in an effort to help you, whether you're unfaithful or whether you're betrayed, in an effort to help you get back up and to help you feel a little bit more normal, a little bit more comfort, a little bit more hope, a little bit more safe, if you will, today. Keep in mind, today's list, like almost every list I do, is not exhaustive. Time doesn't permit me to create these exhaustive lists of all of the different myths that surround infidelity. Today, I'm going to give you just a few that I think most therapists who treat infidelity or addiction would agree with, or therapists that just plain know what they're doing would probably say, yeah, these are very common. The first myth is that infidelity is this uncommon occurrence or that it almost never happens. And so when it does happen to us, whether we're unfaithful or betrayed, our world is rocked and we feel like we're on this little island off in the middle of nowhere that no one can relate to, no one will talk about, and it can be very disillusioning. But the truth is, more people deal with infidelity than you can imagine. I'm not at liberty to say they don't like me to talk about it, but at affairrecovery.com, you would be amazed at how many people come to the website every day, every month, every year looking for help. If you look at the courses and the intensives that we do, we are flooded with people who are in crisis trying to make sense out of their life. Talk to therapists that specialize in infidelity. A lot of them aren't even taking new clients. So when you reach out, they don't even get back to you because they are submerged with people in pain and hurt. So many therapists from all over the world actually send people to affairrecovery.com for perspective and insight. I read recently in a book, Marriageology, The Art and Science of Staying Together, the author said they surveyed somewhere between 800 and 1,000 participants, and close to 70% of them said that their marriage had at least one issue of infidelity within their marriage. It is an epidemic. It is happening to people all over the world. And people are scared to death to talk about it. I will offer a caveat. That doesn't mean that it's acceptable. It doesn't mean that there's any message behind what I'm saying today of, so just get over it. It's happening to everybody. Suck it up. No, no, no. What I'm trying to help you understand is that you're not alone. The second myth is the idea that whenever there's infidelity, it would imply that someone has always been the fall guy. Someone is always at fault and did something wrong. Well, if you'd have just had more sex with me, or you know what, if you'd have just been more approving. And the betrayed can feel that way too, where, you know what, I should have been more physically intimate. I should have encouraged them more. I should have done all these things. And we're looking for the fall guy when in reality, that's not always the case at all. Sometimes there's grief from deaths in the family, bankruptcies, life traumas, if you will, that have happened, and couples have grown apart. They've grown disillusioned. They've grown disconnected. It's not like we can just say, oh, well, they're the bad guy, and that's the reason it happened. Oftentimes, life happens. Couples will report after the discovery of infidelity, you know what? I thought we had a great marriage. Everything seemed to be going okay. And so the betrayed will oftentimes grab hold of it and think, I should have done these things. I should have done those things. No. Sure, we can always do better, and sure, we can grow and we can change. But to try and think that there's always somebody who's the fall guy is just wrong. It's a myth. It's not accurate. There are external circumstances that go on that create the opportunity for infidelity to happen. Now, what I'm not saying today, and in no way would I say, oh, stop looking to blame your spouse or your partner. They just were having a difficult time. I'm not trying to excuse the choices. Sometimes, yes, there are moments where someone has been involved in a situation where they completely are at fault. You know what? Maybe if you didn't work so much, you wouldn't have been ripe for the affair with your coworker. Maybe if you weren't trying to avoid so many things in your life, you wouldn't have fallen prey to the opportunity for this person who kept trying to get your attention and seduce you. Yes, there's situation after situation, but there is this myth that anytime there's infidelity, oh, they were the bad guy. And you can't fall into that because it doesn't bring healing. It isn't a universal truth. Here's where we get into problems. People with keyboards love to make their experience the only experience. And they make their filter everybody's filter. So then you go online and you're looking at different places and you're trying to find help. And then you get these people who say, you should just leave them. You'll never be able to save your marriage. It'll never be right again because their situation never got right again. That does not mean that your situation is going to be exactly the same. It is not true. There is no statistical evidence that so-and-so in this part of the world had this experience, so you're going to have the same experience. Not true, not true, not true. The next myth is the myth that after infidelity, your relationship or your marriage is irreparable. And it's simply not true. The reality is that, as I said just a couple of minutes ago, very strongly, I might add, someone's experience does not have to be your experience. What happens is, oftentimes, the most healed people or couples are not the loudest couples. They're not surfing all over YouTube videos, making negative comments, assailing people, trashing other people's story of hope and love, or demeaning speakers because they don't have time. They're off riding out into the sunset with their partner, healing or healed, enjoying life together. So I'm sorry that this seems a little bit strong, but let me tell you, what will decide if your relationship is repairable or not is the work that you are willing to do, the work that your partner is willing to do. It is a myth that, oh, once a cheater, always a cheater. That is not true. There is statistical support that once someone has an affair, if they don't get help, and if they don't get certain types of help, and if they don't devote themselves to that help and that work, they are more likely to have an affair. But it is not 100%, oh, once you cheat, you're always going to cheat. Not true at all. However, many people love to say that your marriage will never be the same again because their marriage was not the same again. And maybe it didn't even make it. Now, who wants to have the same marriage anyway? Maybe there's a new marriage. Maybe there's a new relationship that you can enjoy Because let's face it, if you were in a marriage that was ripe for infidelity or that created the opportunity for infidelity, why would you want to go back to that? Maybe there is a new relationship, a new marriage based upon the newness that happens inside of you as a result of this trauma and this pain that is available for you. Your relationship is repairable if both parties are willing to do the work. The next myth is the myth that says talking about the infidelity only keeps you stuck and won't help you heal. That you should just move on, stop talking about it, and it will get better. I'm sorry, it will not. It will fail miserably. If you talk to therapists who've done this for 30, 40, even 50 years, they will tell you that not talking about it actually does more harm. From psychosomatic health issues to people absolutely experiencing significant health issues in the instance of cancer and all types of unprocessed pain and hurt in their body because they never were able to talk through the pain that they experienced, including infidelity. Now, we unfaithful love to say, let's stop talking about it because we feel so much shame. We feel so much uncomfortability. We feel so much self-hatred because we're talking about our biggest failure. And until we can man up or woman up or cowboy up, as we say in Texas, until you can do that and create the opportunity for your betrayed partner to talk about and process the pain, there's not going to be much healing. There's not going to be long-term healing. And before you think that what I'm saying is that you should talk about it all day, every day, and what we call marathon, which is have these 4 to 6 hour discussions with no end in sight, I am not saying that. Avoidance does not bring healing. Marathoning for hours and hours at a time every single day or every single night does not bring healing either. That's why you have to find expert help that can create boundaries and create a safe way to talk about it in a redemptive way that is going to help you both feel safe and boundaried and protected from just maybe being degraded or devalued or humiliated about your biggest failure ever, but also able to process and talk about your pain and not feel like you have to box it up and put it on the shelf and that there's never a good time to talk about it and that you can't ever talk about it and that you're just supposed to live with this private pain the rest of your life. There is a better way. But if you think that there is this myth that says, oh, if you talk about it, you're never going to heal, that is not true. As we say goodbye today, there are so many myths that surround both the unfaithful and the betrayed, as well as this awful epidemic that we're dealing with in society called infidelity. I hope that today you feel a little bit more validated and a little bit safer in your pain. If you want more help, you can go to affairrecovery.com. Find a therapist that specializes in infidelity. I've interviewed several over the years that you can find in our videos. It's vital that you don't try and do this alone. It's vital that you have the courage, the confidence, and the support to step out of this private agony. And that means the unfaithful as well as the betrayed. This shame is not your friend. And how we heal is finding the right people with the right help for us and the right strategies, with the right boundaries. Promise you that you can heal. I promise you, you can find joy again. I promise you, you can get to the other side of this. I don't know about your relationship because I don't know about your partner, but I know that you don't have to have this be the end of you. As I've said before, and I'll say again, keep going, keep fighting, keep pursuing your own healing.